Ciao Milanisti and welcome back everyone. It feels like it's been forever since my last video because I feel like so many things have happened. There's actually a lot to cover this week. Most importantly, of course, is the contract renewals with Paolo Maldini and Massara with Milan, obviously as in their director roles at the club. And it's been something that I think we've been obviously agonisingly getting closer and closer to. Even though we've sort of feel like it's never been in doubt, there was obviously the doubts kicking on because it was getting closer to the deadline of their current and probably previous contracts at the time of making this video running out. With still no announcement officially made by the club yet. Obviously, I'm only going off what I found out from obviously the social media platforms with Maldini rolling out of Casa Milan on Thursday night. Obviously, saying that he's come to an agreement and staying on at the club, and some interesting factors. Obviously, we're going to just kick straight into it straight away, which is obviously what we're talking about now with the renewals. Look, this is massive in my opinion for Maldini and Massara staying on the club. Say what you want about what they do individually, and obviously a lot of credit has to go when it comes to scouting and with certain players to play people like Moncada. Of course it does. But Paolo Maldini represents the identity of this club. You know, he's up there at the top right of my, he's a legend, legendary status. When you think about Milan, you think about Maldini. Massara has been very underrated for what he does in the background as well. Very key to a lot of things. And he's sort of like one of the unsung heroes of what happens in the back end of the club. And with the two of them, they represent a lot of what is pushing Milan forward in the right way. And it would have been a shame to lose them. It would have been a massive step backwards considering who the hell we would have replaced them with. And I'm just really, really happy they got to stay. And with Maldini rolling his car out of Casa Milan on Thursday night, obviously we don't want to look too much into certain words, but considering the fact that this was the first time he spoke since the alleged agreement on the contract, I think his words were around the lines of, apologies for losing a bit of time. Obviously, a month's gone technically in the summer. The whole month of June is, if you want to say it, as being wasted. I personally see it as that, and I'm happy that Maldini's seen it as that because he's got time to make up for, and he's saying we'll make up that time. 2 months left of the window, obviously until it closes at the end of August, and July the 1st is the time of making this video, is the official the opening of the window. So it's good that he's seeing that this is time to hit the ball with the horns, grab the ball by the horns, go out there and take the transfer market very seriously, which I'm sure he is anyway. But it's you like to think that the fact that they come to an agreement with their renewals, that basically that they're in agreement with how the club's going to go forward, and that means with Paolo Maldini in his ideas of signings, does the wage structure increase? Does getting the okay with certain transfer fees, does that come much more fluidly, much more quicker? You like to hope so that is the case, and obviously we get some deals done with, we'll come on to sort of a few rumours. I don't want to look too much into it because rumours are still stay as rumours in my opinion, and that will never change until we get the official announcements from the club with any players being signed or sales. But I like to think that some might just seem to happen now. So I'm really, really chuffed that they got their extensions. I'm sure we all are, and we can sort of continue with what's going to happen, what can hopefully be a very good summer, which we can't forget something that did happen this week. Big news, obviously, Origi has seemingly joined the club. He's obviously come in for his medical. You'd think he's passed. Still no official announcement yet on that as well, but I think they're sort of holding things back, which coincidentally to something else and we'll talk about later on, which is the new kit. You like to think that it will probably get announced next week when the start of training kicks in, July the 4th. Obviously, the squad resumes and recovers together, we spoke about last week. And obviously, Origi will be there, hopefully on the first day, with the new shirt. So I think a lot of things coincide. That's probably why there are some delays on official announcements in that case. But I just want to quickly wrap up things with Origi. I'm not going to do sort of a breakdown video about him. I've spoken about him a few times before on this channel. I really like the player. When it came down to it, I think I made the video between him and Belotti, and I was sort of making a case more for Belotti at the time. And I did say I would love as a dark horse to come in, it would be Divock Origi, and we did go for that profile, even though there wasn't really much to talk about at the time. We've got him on a free transfer. I think the wages are around like 3.5 to 4 million euros a year. I believe on a 4-year deal as well. A really good transfer. He's a clean finisher. I'm just really excited to see what he can add to this squad. Especially he doesn't, he's a bit more obviously faster and agile than Ibrahimovic and Olivier Giroud. So there's certainly aspects to his game that's definitely going to add something to it in the final third. Of course, he's a very great finisher. Jurgen Klopp has anything but great words to say about him. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how he does. But obviously, we need a bit more in the attack. So I'm hoping this is where Paolo Maldini sort of strikes in the market. Now, mentioning about players coming into the squad on a free transfer like Divock Origi, let's talk about players who are leaving the squad officially on a free transfer. I mean, we can't really say officially, even though it's July the 1st and they're out of contract, but we have to sort of count them as that. And Frank Kessie, obviously he's going to make that move to Barcelona, it seems. I'm 100% sure that's probably going to be the case, even though I'd like to think he might renew, but I just think we're just going to move on for other targets, maybe give Pobega his chance. We'll see from there. But Alessio Romagnoli's predicament is a bit interesting, considering the fact that we've not gotten Sven Botman. He has made that move to Newcastle. I'll talk about that later on briefly as well. With Botman going to Newcastle and that sort of heap of money that we're going to spend on him, around 30 million euros allegedly, not being spent now in that position, does Milan now change their stance when it comes to the centre-back position? Do we go for a cheaper, younger profile? Do we go for even Bremer, who might be, maybe 5 to 10 million euros less, or if you maybe include Pobega in the deal, we just never know. We've been rumoured with other people like, Francesco Acerbi, which not a lot of Milan fans are liking. We just don't know. And I still would keep the door open for a potential scenario where Alessio Romagnoli does stay at the club and renews a contract, because let's just say the scenario where Lazio can't shift Acerbi or give him the wages that he wants, or there's not many other suitors around world football as well. I think Fulham from the Premier League as well is just another one. But if he's not finding the teams that he initially thought that were going to come and approach him with the money that he wanted, maybe Milan can come and sneak in last minute and sort of get that renewal done for terms not that are going to be harsh on the player, but something that maybe, I guess, not betting on himself would have gotten that reward in the first place. But let's just see and keep that options open that Romagnoli might just stay at the club and go from there. As I said at the start of the video, it feels weird that it's like all the things that have happened within the week, and there's so many things that we just can't forget to talk about. And one of them is the Serie A fixture list. It's officially been announced. We now know who we're going to play throughout the course of the season. It's quite a weird format. We saw last year the first half of the season wasn't in the same corresponding order for the second half of the season, so it's sort of, you get your first 19 teams that you play, 19 teams that you play, and then the second half of it's completely like mishmashed around in a different shift pattern. And if we look at the fixtures, obviously there are a few that stand out straight away. I've got them in front of me now. We start the season at home against Udinese. We actually end the season as well at home against Hellas Verona, which is good because obviously last season we played both starting and last game away from home against Sampdoria and Sassuolo respectively. So it's good that we have both first and last game at home. That means Inter Milan will not have them at home, so that might end up working into our favour. Look, round 5 against Inter Milan, I think that's the start of September. That's obviously a massive game. We're the home side in that one. That's going to be a crucial fixture. Round 15 at home against Fiorentina, which will be, even though I like that game anyway on paper, that will be the last game before the World Cup commences. And then obviously we're back in January 2023 away at Salernitana. So there's a massive gap there, obviously, with the World Cup in Qatar. Other than that, you've got the penultimate game of the season away at Juventus, round 37. That's obviously could be a crucial fixture depending on how the title race is going, if we're still in it or however it might land. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Other than that as well, you've got the Italian Supercup that's been announced. The date is January 18th, 2023, and it's going to be played in Saudi Arabia. Inter Milan in that fixture as well. So we're going to have a ram-packed fixture list, which then obviously goes back to the transfer market. Maldini has to get these signings right. We're going to need a big squad. Even I think Marotta said, obviously I don't want to talk about Inter Milan too much, but Marotta said about this is a crucial season for having good squad depth. We saw last season with the African Cup of Nations right in the middle of it. It affected 2 of our players in the sense of not being available for that period. Even though the World Cup's different because everything completely goes on a hiatus and stops, you still have to deal with the fatigue that players potentially might have from being in that competition. Or even in the other scenario where players have not played for a month and a half, how's their situation going to be? Are they going to keep themselves match fit? And you're really ticking things straight away afterwards. First thing of January and asking the players to sort of resume their regular season and hopefully with the same intensity that they left it from round 15 of the season. So it's going to be an interesting one. So I'm really hoping that we put ourselves in the best position going into that World Cup competition, that we're not having to sort of catch up on points afterwards. Now, I said I wrapped up last season and the sort of Scudetto thing a couple of weeks back when I did the sort of the reviews. And I do want to look towards the future. I do want to look towards next season and the summer transfer market that we have. But there's just two things I want to mention that have to deal with last season. That's quickly the Scudetto. Winning, we are the Italian champions, obviously, of Italy. And what that means is we get a nice little crest on our jerseys for next season. And the jersey for the shirt for next season, 2022-2023, the home shirt is being released on July the 4th. I've not actually seen what it looks like personally. I've seen the leaks and they look really good if it is that one. But the pre-orders are now available to go on the Milan shop website. And obviously, if you want to sort of beat the rush for the initial release and release date of the first batch of stock, you might want to go in there and get your pre-order done. I've done it myself. I think it gets shipped on the 4th of July as well. So hopefully it might come in time next week. My birthday's on the 8th, so I'm just sort of hoping the calendar's there enough and it gets their overseas shipping, etc. And I got Ibra on the back as promised. I'm just really excited to see that new kit, the Scudetto patch in the middle of it. It's going to run things back, and it's just obviously an exciting time right now for the club. And other than that, there is some news coming talking about the Scudetto and talking about the celebrations. There's some news that has been filtered out that there have been fines for certain players. Obviously, there were some wild celebrations coming out of Milan on the tour bus. You know, the videos of Tonali looking a bit drunk, or Theo Hernandez on the microphone screaming certain things to a Turkish player from Inter Milan, and we've been fined from it. You know, the league's come down and they're saying, you know what, it's a bit too far, and I don't know, I think it's a bit ludicrous, but it is what it is. We always get penalised for things like this, and fines have kicked off. There's fines for Rade Krunic. I think he has to pay around €5,000. I think there's 4,000 for Mac Mignon, Theo Hernandez and Sandro Tonali. And then the club gets fined €12,000 for sort of being a liability and allowing it to all happen and not sort of intervening. So it is what it is. I enjoyed the whole thing. I'm sure it's just a drop in the ocean when it comes to sort of salaries and how much the club earns. Who knows, maybe Jerry Cardinale can sort of intervene and just pay all the fines anyway, just because he's a nice guy like that. You never know. But anyway, I just enjoyed the whole thing, and I think it's completely worth it. We got some great memories, some great scenes, in what was definitely a better celebration than what our nosy neighbours Inter Milan had the previous season with no fans because of COVID. But yeah, it is what it is, and we now move into the future, and hopefully that sort of wraps up last season completely. Now, I know I said I don't really want to talk about rumours, and I don't really. I'm just going to make this quick as possible. But with Sven Botman in the situation, we spoke about it before, that deal it's not happened. It's not going to materialise. He's not going to be joining Milan. He's joined Newcastle. And, you know, I can't really blame him. He waited out for as long as he could. Lille went for the highest offer on the table. Newcastle were bidding more than us. It is what it is. And obviously our stance with our management and the sort of the lack of clarity of what was going to happen next with Maldini and Massara probably just didn't help things. And he made the decision that was probably for the best of his career. Not really for his career, but maybe for himself in the moment. And he made the move. And I know AJ's really gutted about it, but I'm not so much, because I do feel like we're going to put more trust in someone like Pierre Kalulu, and we're going to sign probably another target, because the priority should be the attack. And as we go on to the attack, we're going to talk about another Lille player, Renato Sanchez. And if you were to sort of read the rumours last week, it looked like the Renato Sanchez deal was completely falling through as well. That PSG were going to sign him outright and beating us to that, and which was quite deflating for the club. But until the Lille president came out and said that he's received no official offer from PSG, he's had no talks with them, and he's only had an offer and potential offer negotiations with one big European side, which is us, because we had that deal near enough done, let's say 75% done in January. That is Milan he's referencing. It has to be, and it definitely is. And PSG have now gone out and signed a centre midfielder from Porto. I think it was Vitinho or something like that. Don't quote me on the name. But PSG are out of the race. I think we are the favourites for that signing, and I would be completely shocked if we don't get him. If he's changing his salary demands, that might be another story. But I do feel like we are now the outright favourite for signing Renato Sanchez, who I much preferred. He's certainly the one up from Lille that I did want us to sign, prefer to Botman, even though they're different positions. I just really like Renato Sanchez and what he could offer to our game. And lastly, the last player I will bring up, because I think could very much be happening, is Hakim Ziyech from Chelsea. The Moroccan player allegedly has come out in news that Chelsea are willing to let him go on a sort of similar, paid loan with a right to buy, very much like Lukaku. Lukaku's come out and said, look, Milan's a lovely place, and he's sort of been encouraging Ziyech to make the move as well. there's a lot of things why it could happen. We've been linked with him in the past before with Maldini. He's liked him. I think he was trying to get him in January. He's trying to get him in last summer. So there are a lot of reasons why that deal can happen, and he would add a lot of quality to that right side. So let's just sort of wait and see what happens there. I'm very excited if those two players get signed, Renato Sanchez and Hakim Ziyech, and I do feel like there's room for one more little wild card, and who knows what it might be, because the rumours are saying, it could be Paolo Dybala, it could be CDK, it could be Neymar. It's just crazy rumours. Let's just not jump on everything, but I do look at someone like Renato Sanchez and Ziyech as believable targets, which could be done in the next couple of weeks. You just never know if the things sort of go in our favour. But it's exciting times right now. I'm really rolling things back to the start of the video. I'm really chuffed that Maldini and Massara's renewals got done. It just symbolises that we're going on the sort of the right trajectory, because they believe how it's going as well. And who knows, it might just be all words right now from Cardinale, which might be, you can only take words so much. But the fact that Maldini didn't get that renewal done quicker symbolises that he wanted to hear certain things. He wanted some assurances. We took the rumours about the lawyers going over the documents and rehashing the contract as well, basically allowing a bit more autonomy over sort of leading the club, a bit more control, less sort of having to go through the phases to get a signing done. So let's just hope that all sort of aligns, and let's just have a very good summer and get some good additions to the squad going into next season. So until next time, guys, we're going to wrap things up here today. Forza Milan.